Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, The Wives Union. I hope everyone's having a good day. Please like, comment, and subscribe for daily updates. Sister Wives, Robyn's shifting narrative, unseen manipulations. The world watched the rise and fall of the Brown family, a family that once, at least on the surface, seemed to embody a radical, loving plural marriage. One, however, as the seasons of Sister Wives unraveled the layers of their lives, a distinct and chilling narrative surfaced, one of manipulation, emotional sabotage, and a meticulously crafted public narrative that concealed a ruthless agenda. At the heart of this dramatic and heartbreaking saga is Robyn Brown, the self-proclaimed, innocent, fourth wife, whose presence became the catalyst for the family's complete implosion. This report is a deep dive into the shifting narratives and unseen manipulations of Robyn Brown. It's a narrative-style article that weaves together a dramatic recap of the show's most pivotal moments with emotional beats, speculation, and a more profound analysis of the psychological underpinnings of her actions and their devastating consequences on the entire Brown family. Act 1. The ingenue's entrance and the undermining of the original family. In the early seasons of Sister Wives, Robyn was a mysterious figure. The show introduced her as a divorcee and a mother of three, a woman who had a genuine desire to live a plural marriage for religious reasons. Her initial confessional interviews were filled with wide-eyed sincerity. She spoke of her deep-seated belief in the principle of polygamy, her respect for Kody's first three wives, and her fervent hope that she and her children would be accepted into this large, beautiful family. 3. This public narrative was a carefully constructed fortress. It positioned Robyn as a victim of circumstance, a woman who had been through a difficult past and was now humbly seeking a better life. But beneath this facade of innocence, a slow, insidious process was beginning. The first crack in the family's foundation appeared during Robyn's courtship with Kody. The rules, the unwritten laws of their life, were suddenly different. Kody, who had always been a shared resource, was now spending an inordinate amount of time with Robyn. For the other wives, Meri, Janelle, and Christine, were left in the dark. They were expected to be happy for him and support his new relationship, even as they felt the emotional distance growing between them. The most glaring example of this early manipulation was the infamous 11-day honeymoon. Kody and Meri's honeymoon had been a mere 4 days. Kody's and Janelle's were equally brief. Kody and Christine's honeymoon was a quick trip to Nauvoo. But for Robyn, Kody insisted on an extended, romantic getaway. His gesture was a direct, public statement of favoritism. The emotional fallout was immense. Christine, in her confessional, was visibly hurt. She had a newborn baby, Truly, at home and was expected to manage the household while her husband was off on a luxurious vacation with his new wife. The getaway wasn't just a honeymoon, it was a power play. It was a signal to the entire family that Robyn was different and that she would be treated differently. Then came the legal divorce from Meri. The show's narrative presented this as a noble, selfless act on Meri's part, a sacrifice for the greater good of the family so that Kody could legally adopt Robyn's children. It was a story designed to evoke sympathy for Robyn and admiration for Meri. But in hindsight, and with the full context of the show's progression, the move was a masterful stroke of manipulation. It cemented Robyn's place as the legal, primary wife and gave her a power that none of the others had. It was the first time the family's spiritual commitment was trumped by a legal one, and it set a precedent that would ultimately lead to its demise. Act 2, the Las Vegas reign and the slow burn of resentment. As the family moved to Las Vegas and into separate cul-de-sac homes, the cracks deepened into chasms. 5. The physical separation mirrored the emotional one. Kody's rotation, once a fair system, now became a source of constant conflict and resentment. The camera showed us scenes of Kody spending all his time at Robyn's house, leaving the other wives feeling lonely and neglected. 6. Robyn's manipulation tactics during this period were subtle but relentless. Robyn would often portray herself as the victim, frequently shedding tears on camera as she expressed how difficult it was for her children to gain acceptance into the family. 7. She would express a feigned desire for closeness with the other wives, but her actions never matched her words. For example, she would wish she could attend family events but then have a convenient excuse for not going, all while making sure Kody knew how hurt she was about her children feeling left out. This created a vicious cycle. Robyn would express hurt, Kody would feel guilty, and he would respond by spending even more time with her and her children, further alienating the rest of the family. The most tragic consequence of this period was the emotional toll it took on the children. Christine's daughter, Gwendolyn, has spoken openly about her observations of Kody's favoritism towards Robyn's kids. The older children, who had been raised in a communal, loving environment, were suddenly forced to compete for their father's attention. They watched as Kody showered Robyn's children, particularly Solomon and Ariella, with affection, while his older children, who were now teenagers, were pushed aside. 8. A particularly painful moment was when Christine's daughter Truly was critically ill with kidney failure. Kody, in a shocking display of callousness, did not go to the hospital. He stayed at Robyn's, claiming he was doing laundry. 9. Robyn, on camera, defended him, saying she would rather not wake him. This incident wasn't just a lack of care, it was a deliberate act of emotional cruelty, a stark and undeniable symbol of where Kody's priorities truly lay. This moment solidified the family's new reality, establishing Kody and Robyn as a distinct, privileged unit, while everyone else viewed them from the outside. Act 3, the move to Flagstaff and the weaponization of a virus. The move to Flagstaff was presented as an opportunity for a fresh start, a chance to rebuild the family on a single, shared property. But it quickly became the scene of the family's final, public collapse. The wives, once again, were forced to live in separate houses, further solidifying the division. Then came the COVID-19 pandemic, a global tragedy that Robyn expertly weaponized for her benefit. She created a set of strict, often nonsensical, rules that Kody enforced with a totalitarian fervor. These rules, which were ostensibly for the family's health and safety, served one primary purpose: to keep Kody with her and her children. The other wives and their children were desperate for contact. They were living in isolation, while Kody, who was supposed to be a shared husband and father, was sequestered at Robyn's house. He refused to see his other children, even when they were sick or struggling. The emotional beats of this period were gut-wrenching. We saw Janelle's sons, Gabriel and Garrison, heartbroken and angry, they're pleased to see their father falling on deaf ears. We saw Christine's pain as she watched her children suffer. Robyn, in her confessional interviews, expertly shifted her narrative once again. She was no longer just the innocent newcomer. She became the long-suffering wife who was doing her best to keep the family together while facing the betrayal of the other wives. She would cry without shedding tears, claiming that the other wives and their children were the ones rejecting her family. 10. It was a public gaslight of epic proportions. She had built a fortress around herself and Kody, and now she was blaming everyone else for not being able to get in. Act 4, the breaking point and the victim's final performance. Christine's departure was the first domino to fall. Her decision to leave was not a sudden one, it was the culmination of years of emotional neglect, a lack of intimacy, and the crushing realization that she was no longer a real wife. Kody and Robyn, in their public statements and confessional interviews, tried to frame her departure as a selfish act. They expressed their shock and sadness that she was leaving, but their words were hollow. The truth was, Robyn had been working toward this outcome from the very beginning. She had successfully maneuvered Kody into a de facto monogamous relationship, all while maintaining her image as a proponent of plural marriage. With Christine gone, Janelle was not far behind. She had been Kody's buddy, the rational, non-emotional wife who could handle the complexities of the family. But even her patience wore thin. Kody's refusal to be a real father to her children, his constant dismissal of her feelings, and his clear favoritism for Robyn finally broke her. In the aftermath of the divorces, Robyn's narrative shifted one last time. She now portrayed herself as the ultimate victim, the lone survivor of a failed plural marriage. She would cry about how she never wanted this, how she had always wanted a big, happy family, and how she felt betrayed and heartbroken. But this final performance was the most transparent of all. It was an attempt to absolve herself of any responsibility for the family's destruction, to position herself as a passive bystander in a tragedy she had, in fact, orchestrated. The deeper analysis of Robyn's behavior reveals a pattern of manipulation that goes far beyond simple passive aggression. Her tactics included public victimhood, constantly portraying herself as the victim, even in situations where she was the one with the most power. 11. Gaslighting, systematically twisting the narrative to make others question their perceptions of reality. Feigned empathy, expressing fake concern for the other wives' pain while secretly benefiting from their suffering. 12. Strategic distancing, using excuses and subtle language to create a clear separation between herself and the rest of the family. The story of Sister Wives is, ultimately, a cautionary tale. It shows what happens when a family, built on faith and shared values, is infiltrated by a person whose private agenda is in direct conflict with the public narrative. Robyn Brown's journey from a hopeful newcomer to the last wife standing is a masterclass in manipulation. Robyn Brown didn't abruptly destroy the family. Instead, she executed a subtle, persistent, and covert campaign of emotional sabotage, one tearful cry and one strategic narrative shift at a time. As the family now lives in separate, broken pieces, Robyn and Kody find themselves alone in their self-made fortress, the last two players in a game that they both, it seems, have won. You are welcome to share any video requests in the comments. I will make a video about it. Stay connected with the Wives Union for all the latest updates, spoilers, and deep dive recaps. See you in the next video. Stay safe and healthy. May God keep you safe. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell button for daily updates.